third worst goal kicking percentage in the Super League, but in terms of kicks missed, Warrington are actually second in that category. So second worst, I suppose. But the team who've missed the most kicks is actually St Helens, but they've just scored a damn sight more tries than everyone
Yeah, it doesn't
else.
matter so much.
So there you go. So that kind of corrects that one a little bit. I was absolutely buzzing at the end of this game after a first half where Wigan should have been not out of sight, but certainly another 6 or 10 points ahead than we were with the pattern of the game in that first half. Warrington basically scored on one attack and threw away one chance where Tom Lynham made a great break, but other than that, never really looked like troubling the Wigan defence. Whereas Wigan had lots of attacking opportunities. There was the tries the two tries that were scored, but also very early on in the piece there was Liam Marshall's break that Sam Powell knocked on a couple of plays later, kind of thinking ahead too much of what his job was in that. There was the opportunity where Sam Tompkins put the kick in, and baffles me, to be honest, how he was hit late and high and Tom Davies was run completely off the ball by Tom Lynham, yet that was just given us a penalty for the high tackle. That baffled me a little bit, but it added to the drama of the game, making the score closer, I suppose. Wigan were just way better in the first half. I don't know what you saw of it, but Wigan were outstanding in the first half from my perspective.
Yeah, to be honest, Mark, we've had such a crazy weekend. I haven't actually seen any rugby
This
other
is what
than
happens when you're on, but you lose on the Thursday. You just get into a strop and don't watch any other rugby.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, okay, so I'll keep talking then. Okay, second half.
Yeah, you keep talking. I'll just interrupt if I disagree.
That's fine. Second half, Warrington were really, really good. They physically were much better than Wigan in the second half and much better than they were in the first half, especially in their defence. Wigan were finding it really hard to make ground out of their own end and were making quite a lot of errors in their own end or in the middle of the field. Forced errors, I would add, not unforced errors. They were very much forced by the Warrington defence. Warrington were able to kind of get back into things with the Tom Lynham try. Now, Wigan fans are really unhappy about the build-up to that try because Chris Hill dropped his elbow, then his forearm, then his foot onto the face of Gabe Hamlin, but Gabe Hamlin was the man that was penalised. Sorry?
He's such an idiot. I said I've seen that. Chris Hill is such an idiot. He does it all the time.
Do you feel like he's got grubbier this year, or do you think he's always been like this? Because I don't remember this being in his game 4 or 5 years ago.
I think he's got grubbier. I think he's got older, and I don't know, maybe he's not quite as fit as some of the other players, and this is how he's dealing with it, or whatever. But I think, because he did it to Maludi the other week, didn't he? And then tried to accuse Maludi of biting him.
Yeah, but yeah, he did. Yeah, he put his arm into his mouth, didn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe it's relative. Maybe he's always been a little bit grubby, but he's been playing next to Ashton Sims for these last few years, and Ashton Sims is worse. So we didn't really notice what Hill was getting up to, because he certainly hasn't slowed down in his workload that he carries out in a game. And outside of that incident, he was absolutely fantastic for Warrington, in this game. So. It's just strange that it seems to have crept into his game. But then after that,
it's just horrible.
Yeah, after that try, it did feel inevitable that Josh Charles was going to win them the game, and he very nearly did. He scored a try that he's been scoring all year, where he's powering over his opposite winger. This time he sort of snuck it into the corner. It was very, very close call that he got it down, because it was just on the line and just before he got held up and stuff like that. It was a great defensive effort from Wigan. I think they did all they could, but Josh Charnley is just going that well at the moment. Did you hear that some of the Wigan fans were booing Josh Charnley during the game? I can understand why we were a bit frustrated with him when he celebrated his try so much with the Warrington fans and stuff, but they booed him on his first carry. The last time we saw the bloke, he won us a grand final. It just baffled me that people were booing Josh Charnley in this game. Yeah,
whereas when we played Huddersfield, George Rankin didn't celebrate in front of the Hull fans his try.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, but Josh Charnley probably was getting out the frustration by that stage that he'd been getting booed every carry he'd had.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It just not in my eyes. The other talking point from the second half was the Sam Powell alleged crusher tackle on Darryl Clark. I don't know if you've seen this at all, but basically Darryl Clark was being tackled by another man, and Sam Powell came in from the side to finish it on and finish the tackle off, and kind of made contact sort of with his upper body, but his head kind of went into Clark's head, and Clark's kind of head bent to the side a bit, and nothing was given for it. It just got put on report. I think they were uncertain. So because of the nature of it, it wasn't like the usual scenario where you see where there's a player behind and he came in and holding him sort of thing. It wasn't like that at all. Darryl Clark had plenty of room to have found the floor, and the fact that he was trying to not find the floor almost is kind of why Sam Powell was there in the first place. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. We're recording before we see the charges, but it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, and I think that is often the thing with these crusher tackles. It's not that it's malicious. It is that the attacking player is staying up for a lot longer than they used to.
Yeah, and some of it I think is the player does get in a dangerous position, and like you say, some of it's part of the attacking player's input as well as the defending player's input. What I look for in these tackles, because reading the way they're defined in the rules, the rule book and stuff like that, what I look for basically is, are they in a dangerous position, yes or no? And if they are in a dangerous position, have they then been allowed to find space for their head and neck area? Which is kind of, does the defending player allow them some space? And in a few instances we've seen recently, like there was the Matt Cook one on Romain Navarrete the other week, where it didn't look like he actually put any force on at all, but he had him in a dangerous position and made no concessions for it whatsoever. There was the Romain Navarrete one last week, which he got a 1-week ban for, where his head was what prevented the opposition player's head finding space, and they might have thought that one there was a little bit of malice in it. I don't know, because I don't understand why he got a ban for it when Matt Cook the week before only got a caution for it. So they must have thought there was something deliberate in leaving his head there. In this one, I just think it was. He didn't get put in a dangerous position, and he had space for his head until the second man came in, because it's a confusing one, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens on some of these ones, because again, like the one the night before that you were just talking about, on this one, Darryl Clark actually did claim he was injured. He got up, played on for a few minutes, then went off, started holding his neck every time the cameras caught him on the sideline, but came back on for the last 10 minutes or so, and tried to carry the ball as much as he could. So I'm not sure whether that was just him showing courage or him showing cunning at the time of the injury, the alleged injury, and that sort of stuff. It's a difficult one. What I would say is, last year we talked about Darryl Clark going down easily a lot, so he's lost benefit of the doubt from my point of view.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, he's still a great player, as his stats will show, I'm sure. Oh no, he's not in the stats roundup this week. He must have just missed out on that, because there was a few other impressive performances for the Wire, and they nearly came so close. But they had one chance at a drop goal that Tyrone Roberts missed with, giving Wigan a 7-tackle set, and we really did need the 7-tackle set. It felt like it was on tackle 3 after it going nowhere really for a couple of tackles. John Bateman picked up the ball, found a gap up the middle, and this was why John Bateman should have been man of the match for me. This carry, even though his carry before had set up the position for the Josh Charnley try when he'd had the ball knocked out of his hands. But this carry was absolutely amazing, and then 2 carries later, which would have been, well, I suppose it was tackle 2 in the count because of 0 tackle, the first carry. Then he carried it again on tackle 4, and got the position. And I think Wigan were maybe in two minds about what to do. The only person about whether we take another tackle or not, but the only person who wasn't in two minds was young Josh Woods, who had another really commanding performance. He made one bad choice in the first half when he sunk in on the defender for the Toby King try, but other than that, he was absolutely exemplary in this game. I thought, again, Josh Woods, he played really well when he played at the DW, and long may that continue.
think he's a great player. I really
Yeah,
like him.
people are comparing him to Kevin Brown. He looks a bit like him. He's kind of skinny, tall, very similar haircut, that sort of thing. But I've never seen Kevin Brown kick a rugby ball like I've seen Josh Woods kick a rugby ball. And this was it looked like it felt like it did just sneak in, but he absolutely nailed it, and it was from 30 odd meters out. It was a cracker from the young kid, and it just underlines what a calm talent this guy is. And I think Wigan, with him and George Williams, potentially have a 6 and 7 for a few years to come. It's just trying to figure out which one of them will develop the right hand side of their game.
Yeah.
And that's how it finished, 13-12, and me and Cass were jumping up and down and hugging, and everyone was having a great time in the Wigan end. But I think everyone enjoyed the game. I think that's the big takeaway from it. And Chris Kendall played a part in that. I don't think he reacted too much to any of the situations. He could have dished out a sin bin like we talked about on that Sam Powell tackle because someone held the neck. So normally it's a sin bin. And he could have dished out a sin bin in the first half to Tom Lynham. That I talked about before, but he didn't do. He let the game go on. The fans from both sides were shouting for offsides a lot, but I think it was pretty much evenly managed, and it meant it helped breed the physical intensity of the game that most of us who watch this sport fell in love with the sport because of the physical intensity and the fact that skill is delivered whilst that physical intensity is going on, and that's what this game was able to deliver. I think one final note from me is just on Liam Paisley, who scored a try on his home debut, coming in for Liam Farrell, who's got a shoulder injury, which worries me and worries all of Wigan fans. But Liam Paisley is another good kid off the conveyor belt, and I'm glad for him to get his first try. Okay. Stats then. Most stats were quite close, unsurprisingly really, including the crucial ones of total metres, breaks and tackle success rate. Wire made ground though at 1 metre per carry better average gain, but Wigan made fewer mistakes, and in the Hurricane the penalty count 5-7, as well as making all their goals, with Wire missing all theirs. Individually, because it was such a tight physical game, there wasn't huge numbers being put up across the board, but Wigan had Tom Davies with 1 try, 121 metres, Taulima Tautai with 119 metres. He actually ran forwards in this game a few times, which is what gave him that figure, so well done to him figuring that out. John Bateman, 6 tackle plus 127 metres, 6 successful offloads, and I think that underlines he should have been man of the match for me. I also think Tommy Lulawai doesn't ever do enough to make the stats rounds up. He had his best game of the season by far as well. For the losing Warrington side, the valiant losing Warrington side, Tom Lynham a try, 7 tackle plus 146 metres, 2 clean breaks. Josh Charnley a try, 5 tackle plus 131 metres. Steph Ratchford a try assist, 125 metres. Chris Hill 11 marker tackles, 125 metres, 3 successful offloads, and 1 very grubby incident. Okay. Moving on to Saturday, there was a Saturday game this week, a 6:30 p.m. kickoff, which gave them an hour or so after the England game for people to pile down to Bellevue, and 579 of them did. Ben Thaler was a referee to see the home side.
5,079 of them.
5,000. What did I say?
500.
Oh, sorry, I meant to say 5,079. Yeah. Thanks for the correction. You did say you'd chirp in whenever you needed to correct me. There you go. Okay, Catalans won though, 35 points to 18. In this one, it was 22-12 at half-time. I'm going to read the first fan review for you, Sarah. Alan Walker said, need to get rid of that shit, looks like a cunt Spain shirt, nearly fucked the game up too, 50-metre penalty attempt, it's not at Denver. And Brian got in touch from a Wakefield perspective.
Yeah, he said, bit lacklustre for Trin despite an early lead. Catalans look like they have in recent weeks on TV. Good in opposition 10. Trin were a bit limp. Nothing really clicking with Liam Finn. Tom Johnston got much more ball than usual and looked dangerous each time. Highlight was his try on half-time hooter after Catalans missed a penalty and Tom Johnston went length to score. Only pathetic Leeds can save us from the middle eight.
I don't know if you've seen that Tom Johnston try. It was absolutely wonderful stuff. Both people have touched on it there, because just at half-time, basically, I think the hooter went when the kick was being taken, but
yeah,
Josh Drinkwater went for a kick from just inside the halfway line. It landed about a metre short. Liam Finn took it, ran forward about 10 metres and then put a kick over the top, and Tom Johnston legged it after it, collected it, went and scored, and it was a real thrilling try to see. I was picked up for my criticism of Regan Grace last week for not necessarily converting